adjustments that you guys made as an offense to kind of break things open in the second half?
Yeah, I think we found some things that really worked well for us. And then we had known a lot of the week that we were going to run, but once we found them, started to calm a little bit more and make, like you said, some adjustments off those plays and open up different stuff. So
another week, and there was, at least on the outside, there was uncertainty about who was going to play the position. How did it go for you? And when did you feel comfortable like you were the guy that was taking the snaps today?
Yeah, I mean, it was a little bit of a deja vu from last week. I came in Sunday night. Jeff took a couple more snaps than he did last week, but still took all the snaps that I was given and acted like I was the starter and prepared like I was. So I think that's key. With this situation, everyone trying to uplift each other. Every chance you get, you got to make the most of it.
Coach said he's comfortable going all the way to the end if he has to determine who's going to start, even at quarterback. Are you comfortable with that? And when did you find out officially this week?
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of like last week. I don't know if there's ever, Coach Rule never sat me down in his office and was like, "You're going to start this week," because I think he expects us. When you're given those first team reps or even those second team reps, like he expects you to prepare like you are going to be the starter. So I mean, him sitting us down and telling us, "Hey, you're going to start this week." I mean that kind of defeats the purpose, because then 1 week, if he doesn't sit you down, are you going to practice the same? So I think that's I don't know if that's his philosophy or not, but that's something I've kind of taken and run with it.
Being a college quarterback, I'm sure is a learning curve, right? You've done this for 2 weeks. How are you on that learning curve, and how are you on the learning curve of just running the option, knowing like all the iterations that you can do on a given play? Yeah,
I mean, that's the beauty of the option. That's why, a lot of the 90s, 80s, 90s teams, and with Coach Osborne, I think that's why they're so successful is, as a quarterback, if you know the weapons that you have and you can distribute the ball, then you're going to be successful. It may not, a lot of those guys, I saw something last week that was interesting. Someone was comparing, carries, and, Coach Frost and Tommy Frazier and all those guys didn't have as many carries as I did in a week, but they were also pitching the ball a lot more. And they were just distributing the ball, just being a point guard. And so I think once you get really fluent, kind of knowing who the pitch key is and being comfortable with the backs, that offense becomes deadly. And obviously we can combine that with a different element of, what Coach Sapp brings from all of his years and all the other coaches as well.
Who are you kind of like learning from on how to know when to pitch it and when to keep it? Obviously today they were letting you keep it, but who are you kind of learning from?
I think that's a accumulation of the last 2 years. We ran that a lot my first year, but then also, these coaches have sat down, they've really studied this option side of the playbook, and they've watched a lot of film. And obviously, Coach Ron Brown, he's been here since the 80s. He's seen a lot of option quarterbacks, so he knows. He gives us some insight into that too. Attacking angles, knowing when to pitch and stuff like that. But I really these new offensive coaches that some of them have never run the option like this in their life. They've sat down, they've put a lot of time into it.
What's your thoughts about where the passing game is at right now?
I think it's good, but it needs to keep developing. Last week was a lot more just getting completions. This week we came out, wanted to kind of stretch the field a little bit more. We were close on a couple of them, and then we connected on a couple as well. But some of that's on me. I got to see just little details better. Whether that's watching film more or maybe understanding better where to go with the ball and check it down sometimes. But I think the O-line's doing a great job of giving me time.
Great rush for 135 today. What do you think of the way that he ran the ball, and also the way he approached the week, given the news with Ramir and Gabe?
Yeah, that's the thing is, I didn't see AG change at all because AG's always been ready to go. We saw last year how dominant of a running back he could be. And at the start of this year, things didn't fall his way. So what? I don't think he ever changed in his mindset that I'm second, third string now. I'm just not going to try. Like AG's a guy that comes to work every day. He doesn't waver, and so I think that's that just is another guy that's a result of stacking days.
The option run game is an offense all to itself, and you're kind of learning it on the fly here mid-season, early in the season. What's it like to do that and balance that, and try to also continue to learn what Coach Sapp has as far as the principles of the passing game? Yeah,
I mean, it's like you said, it's a balance. We don't sit down and we don't watch the '90s film all the time about the option. We install new stuff, new pass plays that that go on up in the coach's office. I mean, they pump out new plays all the time that sometimes they don't get them, they don't get to show them on game day. But this offense I think it's always evolving. I think that's going to be something dangerous for us in the future.
How do you think you played today? How do you think you played today? Like, do you feel better about today than last week? Or?
Yeah. Obviously, there's always stuff to improve on. But I really hope. For me, I want to be confident in myself, but I also want my teammates to be confident in me. And so I hope they look at me and they see someone who went out there and battled to the end. I want those guys to, look at me as I'm going to have their backs all the way. So that's really all I want to do.
Last week you showed off your physicality. Today with the 2 long runs, even with one of them called back, you got to show off a little bit of your speed. How'd you feel about how that kind of felt today, being able to outrun the DBs? Yeah, it was. I was just talking to my mom, and she knew right away after the one that got called back. She was a little worried because she knew in high school I only ran the 100 and the 200. So I ran about 100 yards down that way, 100 yards back. And she knew that's about my limit. Obviously I want to keep pushing that, being able to stay controlled with my breathing, being able to operate the offense even when I'm tired and can't breathe. But I think I was really grateful just for the O-line and for the receivers blocking downfield. Those guys that's the reason that I got to show off my speed there.